are going to talk about food being the new anchor in the malls. How many of you think that fashion still holds the major places in the mall and food is lagging behind? And who think that food is leading? So fashion, whosoever favors fashion, please raise your hands. Oh, the things are changing, it seems like. So let's start with the mall guys first. Mukesh sir, I want to understand from you, from a mall developer's perspective, how is the tenant mix shifting between fashion and food to maximize the footfall and revenue?
Thanks, Charu. F&B has always been an anchor. It's not really changed now. It may have become a little better post-COVID, but we always treated F&B as an anchor. If you look at any of the mall taglines, it always says shopping, dining, entertainment, which slightly changed and has become dining, shopping, and entertainment. See how there's a shift that has happened last few years' time. Years back, maybe a decade ago, F&B used to be around 5 to 6%, maybe 8% of total GLA, which has gone to almost 15% today. Which is, again, I would say, post-COVID, things have changed a little bit more. Number two, what's also happening to the malls is started building the spaces so flexible they can add more F&B spaces. A few years back, if somebody's going to ask me, will you do an F&B in the ground floor, I would say no, because mostly retail driven. But today we are doing. We had 2 cafes at Infinity, and we never thought of this earlier. So things have changed completely. And even F&B players have started thinking they're anchors, so they start demanding better rates these days. They say, give me a better, we are an anchor today. That's also a change over the past few years' time. So they have definitely scored over retail because you can eat out twice or thrice in a week, but you can't do shopping twice, thrice in a week. So that also has added to it, with a lot of people having a nuclear family, they want to eat out. There are a lot of things which is adding to these things. One is that when you go in many cities, the concept of entertaining people at home is kind of getting over. So you want to eat, you go out and eat. They have food court, restaurants. The whole new concept, whole thing, the way of life is completely changed today. This is all mall being a space where everybody wants to come, they spend the time there, with a hygiene factor, there are many other factors. So I think we have been adding more spaces for F&B. So what we say is that the new anchor, I would say it was always an anchor, but it's become a little bit more now.
So adding to it, Aman, like Mukesh sir said that for food, you have to go out at least maybe 3 times a week, but not for fashion, right? So when we say that food is becoming the main anchor in the malls, while designing the malls, are you keeping the food at center, or what is the focus these days?
So basically, I believe with the new, especially with the Gen Z, now because these guys are staying in different cities away from home, and it becomes imperative that we catch on to that trend, because ultimately they are the ones who are going out a lot, right? And they're the ones who are getting into these malls or getting into these specialty restaurants or these other restaurants which are coming with cool concepts now. I mean, cool concepts are really the in thing at the moment. With us, fashion, definitely we think it's not going to go out of fashion, even though the online is still doing well. But the fast fashion is really picking up. So fast fashion, quick, good concepts in terms of the food, and the deliveries are really, really doing well. So ultimately, as a whole, we think it's an equal playing, level playing, I think, because we have to equalize the number of restaurants and equalize the number of stores in fashion. And it has to be balanced, it has to be a balanced approach going forward. But I do feel after COVID, restaurants have really picked up. And F&B as a whole, it's become a huge category. It's become, like the footfall is increasing because of the F&B nowadays. But, with the new concepts in fashion and, we're looking at, so we have to balance it out going forward. We can't really be only one category heavy. So that's more like it. That's what we want to do, and that's what we're focusing on.
True. So different people, different perspectives. Because I myself have seen certain malls which are majorly focusing upon food in a major way and developing food streets also. Like Mukesh sir touched upon the cafes part. He has opened like 3 cafes over there and giving space to more cafes also. So Tarun, coming to you, I want to understand from you what makes a mall the right partner for rapid expansion of cafes.
Okay. Hi, thanks, Charu. So I think the way the gentleman said the malls have evolved with respect to F&B post-COVID, I think that transition is happening very visually now. It's very visible because uh, if you look at the behavior of shoppers in the mall, I think one is social media is a big differentiator, right? So anybody who goes into any eating space now, whether it's a restaurant or cafe, when people are going into a restaurant or a cafe, I think they're wanting it to be Instagrammable. They're wanting to take pictures. They want to spread it out, and therefore the social quotient is a little higher than what it used to be, and especially when it comes to youngsters, they want to associate with a cafe, not purely for the products, but more as an experience and more as a tool for social integration with their peer group or meeting people. They're spending more time in the cafes. We see a lot of people who are even in malls. Youngsters come and they're not only catching up, they're also studying. They're also comparing their notes and spending time on that. And I think that is really helping drive footfall to the cafes, to the malls. That is one. Secondly, it's become a driver of frequency. Because when you look at fashion, for example, I mean, the incidences over a period of 1 year are not as high or as frequent as how it happens with a cafe, for example. So I think cafes are probably driving frequency for malls, while apparel is probably driving aspiration in terms of how they associate. For us, I think the way cafes look at malls is definitely there's a footfall that we look for. When you compare to high streets, there's a short footfall, there's a controlled environment which works better. And the other is obviously the meal periods, right? So I think for us, it really stands out. The numbers in malls are essentially, better because of the various activities, engagements that happen in the mall. But I think it's a two-way street. Cafes also add a lot of value now to the malls, and people are really very particular about what kind of F&B exists in a mall, and it's a key determination, when they're going into the malls.
I want to understand, I mean, cafe consumers bring consumers to the mall, or malls give consumers to the cafes?
I think it's a fair mix of both. But definitely, I think from the mall point of view, there used to be a theory or mindset earlier that, the F&B is incidental because people are coming to the mall, they will consume F&B. But I think it's not like that now. It's more choice-driven. Yes, people will consume F&B, but what F&B you have in the mall really drives the quality perception of the mall in the mind of the young consumer today.
I think I may like to add here, Charu, because there's one brand that's made a lot of change, the Starbucks. The way they promoted the entire cafe and free Wi-Fi, it's become a habit now. So when you're sitting in a cafe, you're not just having coffee, you also want to eat something. Now, but it also happens when you have family coming to a mall. They may not go like to go for shopping, so you wait here. You're waiting for some friend, wait in a cafe because I don't say right thing to do, no, but mall doesn't have too much of seating. Where would you sit? You want to sit in a cafe, you end up drinking something.
True that. So coming to you, Ankit, I want to understand you operate in a very niche category, right? So, and it's an emerging F&B concept which is there, which you are building here in India. So I want to understand from you, how do you evaluate malls versus high streets while planning your expansion strategy?
Very good evening to everyone. Honored to be a part of this platform and to share the stage with such esteemed panelists. When we started Burma back in 2014, mall was never on our mind, right? It was only the high street because it was out and out an experiential dining space. But if we go back in the 2000s, mall was a place which we used to go and buy things. But in today's context, it's the place where we go and experience things, right? And just like how the dining formats have also become very, very experiential of late. And it's in the trend. I think it's the only survival for any retail places to have a big allocated space for restaurants. Earlier, only 10 to 15% of the spaces were allocated to F&B spaces inside a mall, and that's increased to 20-25% as we speak today. In fact, largely, the dining option is the decision matter of which mall to go in today's context, right? F&B experiences is emerging as one of the top driving factors for getting footfalls in the mall. And urbanization is also helping a lot, right? As cities are developing, tier 1, tier 2 cities are coming, more and more footfalls you could see inside the mall. Today, as we stand, 60-70% of the portfolio of our restaurants are inside a mall, which we never saw it earlier. And I think the way forward are the malls, because as Tarun also rightly mentioned, that it's a controlled environment. It's a place where you've got the multiplexes, you've got the stores, you've got the restaurants, the experience center. It's all under one roof that you get. So we are very, very bullish on the malls, so to speak.
You guys are bullish on the malls, but when you talk to Swiggy and Zomato guys, they say we are not happy with the malls because they don't let the Swiggy and Zomato delivery guys use the regular lifts. There are hassles which they face. So I want to understand from the F&B brands who are sitting with me over here, starting from you, AD, do you think there are hassles when malls, when brands like F&B brands like yours are operating inside the mall?
Hi, everybody. And I'm sorry a couple of us may be leaving a little early because it's all ran a bit late. Charu, if you don't mind, I'd like to, I'd made some notes about a couple of things I want to say on the main subject. And we are not very big on delivery. So that's not really a pain point for my group. But I could share a couple of thoughts for the audience on our main subject. Right? One is, it was interesting for me to find out recently that the PVR Inox group of movie theaters, 50% of their revenue now is food. 50%. And in the early days, if you remember, you used to get some shitty popcorn. But now most of the good theaters, multiplexes, have really good food, have celebrity chefs, etc., doing things. And the revenue is huge. And just right there is a very good indicator of how all of us as a dining audience have changed. Food's very important to us. It satisfies us. It gives us a reason to go somewhere, as you mentioned. And the numbers are showing. And you see, you have to realize in a mall, there are people coming for certain brands who will come wherever the brand is. But what's lovely for a fashion outlet is to have walk-ins, people who've come for other reasons. And food gives those reasons. So I think for most malls, having brands that people will come for gives a stickiness for the mall and really helps for all the business of the mall to do well. We, for example, with our Olive in Delhi, our landlord put in a F&B chain next to us, a fashion chain. They did phenomenally. One, they could run late. Two, there was a huge number of people coming off with decent spending capacity, buying from them. So that brand then stayed there, I think, for 11 years. Now he's put 3-4 brands around the Olive, and they are growing fantastically. So I think just directly ourselves, we've seen how, good food brands can make really a big difference because of the pull we have and really help the business of malls, the business of fashion as well.
Mukesh, sir, would you like to add something to it? Would you like to add something to it? Would you like to add something to what AD said?
No, he's talking about the why the malls are preferred. There are two distinct advantages what malls have as compared to the high street. One is that the safety part. When you're in the mall, you feel safe, it's more hygienic. Number two, you don't have an issue of parking. When you go to high street, when you park in a place, you're not getting a space in one restaurant, you have to go to another restaurant, you have to walk down. With extreme weather, it becomes an issue. Number two, the choices what you get in a mall today under one roof, it's quite a few. Most of the restaurants, we have added this space. There are more restaurants and the food court spaces. So consumers have many choices in a better environment.
So Anjan, the consumer has choices, like Mukesh sir said. I want to understand which are the concepts, according to you, which do better in malls, and which are the concepts which do better on the high streets?
Come again, please. I didn't get that.
So I want to understand which are the concepts that do better in the malls and which are the concepts which do better on the high streets. Fine dining, cafes, which are better in the malls and which are better on the high streets.
I will also start with some little background of the fact that what is this change all about? Mukesh ji, AD and Ankit, they've already spoken about the basics. But one of the things I think is that there has been a social change. You know, once upon a time when we started, I'm the oldest in this panel, sorry, in the business and otherwise. So we started when they were, you know, in Sakinaka 1994, when it sounds like 1857. So we believed in destination dining, and we actually wanted to attract people coming in Baliganj, in Calcutta, Guru Sadar Datta Road. Nothing used to happen. So those were the days, because, you know, we used to attract people because, you know, it's all connect with the brand. People, if you sustain, you're consistent, the brand comes in. Now we have to go to the place when customer is going. So if you see this shift, for example, in Calcutta, I'll give an example. We are Guru Sadar Datta Road versus South City Mall, which is a big animal, the biggest animal there. There's a difference of almost 30% sale. So I'm saying that's the social change which has happened over a period of time. And all of us have to realize, they've already said this. Now you asked the second part, I forgot that actually.
So destination dining, you touched.
Which one? Yeah, which one does better? Is that you said?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, frankly speaking, the mood in a mall is a little casual. When you're going, you don't dress up. Like a destination dining or a 5-star, you dress up to go there. Here you can go in shorts. So the question here is that ideally, it should be a fine casual. Everything is no more, it's not no predictable things like a, you know, reservation, no reservation. That's a destination, like a Hakkasan or maybe a Yawacha. I'm just taking international. Sorry?
Or the olive.
Yeah, or the olive, of course. So I'm saying that we are also seeing that trend coming in. So fine casual, Zorawar, you will agree with me that today the space has completely become, there's nothing fine, especially with the Zenalians and the you know, millennials who are coming. They don't care. They want to go to a place which is easygoing in spite of those, you know, poo-poo places. That's why 5-star food, I'm sorry, is there anybody from a 5-star? Sorry, the 5-star food dining is dying, except in the ITC, which has anchor brand. So hence it's come. So we once upon a time started this revolution, Zorawar. So Hedy and myself. So I'm saying that things have changed, but with time we have to change. So we have around 60% in malls now, as of now, and then the rest 40% is old once upon a time types, where destination dining.
So do you think that once upon a time on the high streets that you opened are also going to shift to the malls sooner or later?
You see, it all depends on whether there's space or not. Another important thing is that the mall has to work. The mall owner, his dedication, because lots of people, we invested long ago in a Vashi mall, he sold it, and we were nowhere. You see, the interest of the mall, there are very few good operators. In fact, if you ask me, I mean, Pacific is one, of course. Phoenix, I don't want to say because they charge a lot of money. Abhishek is here. So another thing, because of the fact that the mall attracts people, only if there's a marketing team, if they are long-term, if the mall is not there, Vicky Oberoy's mall, etc. They work very hard and they're owners, and they continue to be owners. So that's very important, because going forward, you know, destination dining jo hai, unko, I don't want to change them at a point, but we are growing very fast on a, you know, on expanding on the malls.
I understood it well. So Zorawar, coming to you, when we talk about the brands which have been there from a really long time, you have been in the industry and running the show from a really long time now. So I want to get a clarity on certain things like expectations of brand owners like you from malls. What were they earlier and how have they changed now? And how malls are changing themselves to fulfill those requirements?
Firstly, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know we're a little late in starting it off, and two of our very close friends need to head to the airport, so I'll be trying to be brief. It's great to be on the stage. Everybody here is an absolute rock star. I don't think you'll find a better panel of restaurant owners, passionate restaurant owners than on this group. So I'm starting from AD, who's built, in my opinion, the most ritual restaurant in this country. You know, my dearest Anjan, who is actually the guy who's treaded the path for the rest of us by having the very first listed food company in this country. I still remember the day that you called me, the night of the listing. He doesn't remember it, but I do. He called me the night of the listing. He was very excited. It was past midnight, and he was super excited about how the stock was performing, the oversubscription, and I just felt a sense of pride, and I still get goosebumps thinking about that night, because on that day I realized, wait, I can get there too. So thank you for being a great guide and mentor to all of us. Obviously, my dear friend, by the way, this man is my schoolmate and 1 year my senior. So he wants to be given a little bit extra respect, which I do. But in our all-boys school, St. Columbus in Delhi, by the way, the same school Shah Rukh Khan studied in. So, I mean, the same school. He was my senior, although he looks probably younger than me. And he's built now, in my opinion, the best form of a franchise of an international brand in India today, with Chili's and Paul's. I mean, I think these restaurants are hitting it completely out of the park. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. And then, of course, my dear friend Ankit, who has to really head fast. So I'm going to, again, quickly introduce him because I'm really proud of being a part of this panel, is the fact that there is a brand that is growing in America called Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's is the fastest growing brand in the world. It's 10 billion valuation, et cetera. It's doing fantastic. And it had a project, it has basically a business plan which was bound to fail. Low probability of success, but very high potential reward. I think when you and I spoke maybe a dozen years ago, I thought, why is he opening a Burmese restaurant, which is not typically Asian food? Veg Burmese, no alcohol, you know. It's a low probability, right? Very low probability of success, but I think right now, this is probably the highest EBITDA generating restaurant on this stage, is his. He runs a restaurant that does not serve alcohol, only serves Burmese food, great quality, the best khao in the country, and he does it with a low probability success rate, but has made it into arguably one of the most successful brands in this country. And of course, my dear friend and ex-colleague, running Tim Hortons, I still, as a ritual, pick up a strawberry milkshake without whipped cream at the Cyber Hub Tim Hortons at least once or twice a week. So, great to be a part of this great panel. I just want to say that, the hard truth is for the mall people is that no longer are multiplexes or fashion the anchor. Food is the anchor. Indians spend more on eating out than any other form of entertainment. In fact, the second largest form of entertainment, which is Bollywood, we are 40 times larger than that. That's 4,000%. So you're talking about a night and day difference. That's lucky for people on this group, right? You can actually eat out multiple times a week, but you're probably going to buy an expensive article of clothing or food at, maybe once in a month or 2 months or whatever. I barely buy any clothes. My wife chooses everything, but that's besides the point. I think going forward, there has to be a change in the way malls and brands are associating. Right now, although I have great relations, Atam Jyot, my dear friend, is sitting there from DLF. So many of my friends from Phoenix are here. Mr. Trehan here is a good friend of mine. Everybody's developed a strong relationship at an individual basis. But I think the ethos should not be of a tenant and landlord. It should feel like a co-producer of an experience. You guys should be part of that experience building process with us, where we're working together to drive even more footfall. Because I think the biggest traffic engine right now for malls is F&B. And that's absolute fact. And we got to move out of this mentality. I think it's changing rapidly, but more needs to be done. Shared experiences where our marketing teams collaborate. Your teams come up with some example is Cyber Hub. Cyber Hub comes up with a lot of co-branded activities that really works really well for us. I think all of us are here in Cyber Hub, and we've seen that, and so on and so forth. So that kind of hand-in-glove, non-adversarial, very proactive, positive association that a brand can create with the malls is the future. And malls are a sense of comfort and predictability. High streets are energy and spontaneity, and perhaps lack of control, but you get that in a mall. So even for me, for you, 60% of your restaurants are in malls. For you, 70%. For me, about over 50% are in malls. And we get that comfort, etc. But the whole way, the rules of engagement have to evolve. They have to become a partnership more than anything else, where we're not just paying you rent. In fact, a revenue sharing model is actually the best way to go forward. And many malls do it, but then they have the base of the MG, which kind of protects them. So we are...
Sorry to interrupt. May I? Yeah. The percentage on delivery should be less.
Very
People
less.
are here.
Because actually you can. DLF helps with that, so you can talk to Atam Jyot after this. Yeah, he does. You can talk to him. And even Phoenix spoke to him. So yes, if you're paying revenue share for delivery, it has to be significantly lower. Otherwise, you can make no money on that delivery. But in general, I think malls are listening. They are more adaptable. They are having a listening ear. And the ecosystem is evolving. And a hand-in-glove relationship as co-producers of entertainment. I think that's what I would like to call our association going forward.
I absolutely agree with you, because that's where we are also focusing now. When we're building a mall with different categories, obviously we have to keep everything in order and to balance everything out. But then there's a huge, trend in the country regarding food malls. So, we're building a food mall now. And, earlier food malls were like high streets, but now they're being air conditioned, giving that kind of because in Delhi NCR, if you're not air conditioned, you're in for trouble. So having those food malls with the right kind of category of restaurants, because there are different concepts opening, and you have to have each and every concept. You have to have the cafes that are new age, and of course, like the Tim Hortons, the Starbucks also. Keeping everything in the close sanctity and creating that vibe of a resort, right? If somebody comes in and they see, okay, this is something that really appeals to me because it looks like a Trident, and I'm just going for a dinner over here to such and such restaurant. There's about 30 restaurants over there. I can have my good time. I can have a club, like a pub experience. I can go and have food at a fine dining. So it can be a good mix of fine dining. It can be a good mix of casual kind of restaurants as well. So this kind of a model is really working well, and it's giving an amazing EBITDA. So the kind of revenues that are being generated with such models probably are superseding many of the malls too. So keeping a category of about, I would say 1 lakh or 2 lakh square feet of a small food mall, it's something that is really going to work in the future with the right locations.
So, we were in a food mall, Kamla Mills, where when it started, there was a lot of restaurants, very little else. Even Cyber Hub, when it started. To be honest with you, if I can share our feedback as a restaurateur, I wouldn't enter a food mall again, because you have people are not coming for movies, for bookshops, for fashion, etc. So I think a mixed mall, makes much more sense for, I'd say, all the people involved.
Yes, but like if you have a food mall under an IT complex or something like a grade A office space, where you're already getting a lot of footfall from that and surrounded with a lot of residential, what people really want, a place where they get everything, right? Today, if you're going to a mall, of course, it's 30% F&B, and it's 30% or 40% fashion, then electronic and everything. But if there is something that is 100% food, and then multiple different offices are opening there, the GCCs are opening there, big companies are operating out of that, and it is surrounded by a good residential zone. It's a no-brainer to me, honestly, because I did a feasibility on this. And it came out that a lot of people are looking for spaces where everything is available in terms of food. Like you have different categories, you have different cafes, everything opened under one roof. And it should be something like a resort, rather than, it being something like a very modern day hotel looking place. It should be like more vibey, more classy, where people just want to hang out, relax, do their... so there can be a lot of co-working areas as a part of this entire thing. So that's something that...
Sorry, Charu, I'll take 30 seconds. I am not wanting to contest you on this because, हम बूढ़े लोग हैं और हम थोड़ा क्या है कि experiential truth बोल सकते हैं. आपने feasibility की है, young guys, my son challenges me every day. So he thinks, Dad, you know nothing. Anyway, but I can tell you one thing, from our experience, we've also gone to some food malls. We've seen over a period of time, while you're right that if it's under an IT building, it's a captive audience. Then you also have residences around. But एक बात आपको बता देता हूँ कि when you have multi-purposes to go to a destination, which mall has become Anchorage, that's why DLFs of the world or the Palladiums of the world are absolutely creating great experiences. And now they have realized that they get a lot of money from the F&B retailers. Suddenly they've realized that, because the number of fashion stores are going down because thanks to Amazon and Flipkart. Because almost 40% is gone away from that. So, and now, sorry, my mall friends will understand that, F&B वालों से ज़्यादा पैसा मिलता है. और हमको मरता क्या ना करता जाना पड़ता है. खैर, देखिए कोई त्रिकालदर्शियाँ है नहीं कि we know everything, but this is we are only talking old experience that we've had, and I would not go to a place unless you create something which is absolutely fabulous.
But you know, when you see a cyber hub, obviously it took time for cyber hub to pick up. But now cyber hub has become a place where people are, you know, like they love going there, and especially it's surrounded by all the offices. There's no residential around, but you know, it's always packed. There are a lot of places that are packed. AD sir has a beautiful restaurant there, and you know, it's doing really well. I think I haven't been there in a long time, but you know, when I went, I mean, initially it was doing really, really well. I'm sure it is doing really well today as well. So something like this, which is air conditioned, is what I'm talking about. You know, like, I mean, surrounded with all the GCCs.
So we have an audience over here. Let's ask the audience, what do you prefer, a complete category mall or a food mall? Food mall people, please raise your hands. AD sir, you have a flight. I know. I'll just, if you permit me 2 minutes, I'll ask the last question from Mr. Saluja and we'll wrap it up. Last question from him. Just 2 minutes.
Sorry, even I have a flight.
So, Ankit, last question to Mr. Saluja, and we are wrapping it up. Yeah. So, as you bring the international concepts to India, I want to understand from you, international brands have a different floor altogether at the malls. Do you feel that international brands in the food category also deserve that?
See, international brands are, when you're getting international brands into a mall, there's a lot of expectations that comes from the brand itself. They're looking for larger floor plates, like 3,000 to 6,000 square feet. There is a heavy amount of capex that goes behind it. There are different kind of concepts that are coming over there, like premium casual dining, cafe concepts, wine bars. So all these various concepts that are coming from international, they expect the mall to be put in prominent zones. So what happens, a mall reacts to that by putting all these concepts in multiple curated dining zones rather than what it used to be, you know, one food court corner or one dining zone itself. So 100% there is a lot of action opening over there because there are a lot of formats coming up over there in different multiple dining zones within the mall. And that really helps getting more variety of crowd, more lifestyle-driven crowd, more aspirational crowd, because you're experiencing all kinds of concepts within that one mall. And for that matter, what is happening is that pre-COVID, about 10 to 15% was given to F&B. Today, they're talking about 25% to even 30% going to F&B.
So the future of F&B brands and malls is going to be really bright that way. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today.
Absolutely. And I think the malls, even the new buildings that they're launching, they are promoting the food section as an independent IP, right? Some of the brands that we've seen, right? So it's no longer like placed in the food courts, but an independent brand is being made where all the restaurants are being a part of. So that's amazing to see that that's happening in the ecosystem.
Looking forward to this change. I hope this change continues and looking forward to more changes in the future going ahead. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today.
Thank you.